Good morning. Hello again, Crunchy Witch. Hi, Spiritual Pisces. If you guys can, heart up the live like 100 times. Hi, Margie. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for coming back. All right, so we'll just wait for a few more people to hop on. I am just gonna wait a few moments, chat with you guys in the live, and then we'll get into, hi Michelle, we'll get back into Mercury Retrograde and all the retrogrades right now. But yeah, I don't think it's the retrogrades that's kicking my ass off of here every time I get on. I actually think there's something completely fucked. And I don't even know, am I allowed to swear? That might be the problem too. Like, yeah, my page, I am struggling. And I feel like I shouldn't even say those words out loud. I need to turn that energy around. But it is frustrating as heck as a creator, as someone that is sharing their work online in such a big way. It is my work and my spiritual purpose. So the algorithm and everything it's doing is like, yeah, it's messed up. But thank you guys. Heart the live, please. Heart, and cuss it up. That might be why they're kicking me off. I don't know. I feel like everybody tells me it's something different. Please just keep hitting the heart button as many times as you can so we can get people back on. Hi, Magic by Luna. Hi, Uncle Birch. Hi, Ghosty. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you, guys, for being here on Sunday. This is my Sunday live. I go live every Sunday at 10, and before I switched, I was talking about how the energy during the week feels so different than me. Hi, Rowan. Than it does on Sunday. Sunday, I cast a circle, do that like energetic circle casting, guided meditation. Hi, Jacob. And it's one of my favorite days of the week. So I thought, well, hi, Rylan. I'm going to start going live more during the week and see if that helps the algorithm, you know, because it's been hating on me. Mary Meet, Lissathe. And the energy was just so different. Yeah, I definitely feel like the energy right now is everybody's kind of, I don't want to say everyone's not okay, but everyone's feeling something with communication right now. And something that I was going to talk about today, and I'll just get into it, is our terminology as astrology has become so mainstream. Thank you guys for the gifts and hearting the live. There's certain things that it's like everybody hops on board and nobody really has the backing, the education. Not everybody. There are a lot of really good creators that have a lot of education that are sharing about the craft that I actually really respect. And we don't always all agree on everything because there's a lot of different ways and thought processes in the craft. But, you know, as far as astrology goes, and I don't consider myself an astrologer, but I have taken enough courses over the years. I have taken basics of astrology from several different teachers. And then like from one teacher in particular, taking it again and again, shadow in your astrology in your shadow. So I'm really adept in doing shadow work through your astrology chart, but I don't read astrology charts like people do. I do know enough to do a bit of a read. And what I notice is everyone online is saying Mercury is in retrograde. And so that's something I want to bring attention to. Mercury does not go in retrograde. Neptune does not go in retrograde. They go retrograde. So they're not in a retrograde, they are retrograde. So if you say like, Pluto is in Aquarius. A planet can be in a particular zodiac sign, but what retrograde is actually when the planet slows down, and because it's slowing down, it kind of appears like it's going backwards. It's not even going backwards, but it kind of has that illusion if you were watching it. Like if you're standing next to a train, you know, you kind of get that like dizzy, like you feel like the train is going backwards because you're walking. It just is a weird, with you walking forward, it's like this weird illusion happens, right? And that's what's happening with Mercury right now. And we have several other planets in retrograde, and one of them is Neptune. And I really feel like, so I just wanted to bring light to that particular, like, what is actually happening, because it's not like, you know, we have our charts, right? The wheel of astrology that we look at, and you have all of the zodiac signs and the houses that are around this circle, right? And then the planets kind of move within inside that circle. So it's like Mars can arrive in Aries, Mars can arrive in Neptune, and those planets arriving in those different zodiacs in different houses give us different energetic influence. Now, because retrograde is not a planet, that's why Mercury can't go in retrograde. It's just Mercury is slowing down its direction. So it is appearing to go backwards, even though it's not going backwards, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of this illusionary energy. And what it does is, because it's slowing down and there's that vibrational, and it's the planet of communication, it's the planet of technology, travel, and so it is influencing all of that, and it's making the energetic lines cross. So that's why we experience a lot of like things with travel, flying. Your plans change and your computer doesn't do the right thing. Like I had a email that I know I had set up for December go out the other day in the middle of the week, and I was like, what the heck just happened? But it's like the energetic lines are crossing when a planet is retrograde, not in retrograde, but it's going retrograde. So it means that it's slowing down. And I always tell people, don't look at this like it's cursing you, right? Don't look at it like it's it's something negative. When those planets slow down and go retrograde, they're giving us an opportunity to relook at things. Now, we're coming to the end of a year, a calendar year, and humanity puts a lot of energy into that particular date, January 1st. I don't really feel that, but we are ending also the Chinese the lunar year, and February is when that new year begins. And so we have this ending energy and new beginning energy, whether you celebrate that on January 1st, January 31st, or February 1st, whatever you're looking at. You know, we are coming to the end of the wood snake and moving into the fire horse year. And so having these retrogrades here is actually a blessing, even though it makes us feel like we're off balance, right? Like you're like standing next to the train as it's moving, and it's like you're, you know, that weird energy you get, that weird feeling. Think of that when you're walking next to a train and it appears a moving train and it appears to start to go backwards. That's kind of what you're feeling in your life right now. Is you might feel like you're going backwards, but the thing is Mercury really isn't going backwards. It's just slowing way down. And that slowdown for humanity feels abrupt. It feels like it's taking you off balance. It makes you feel dizzy. But we go so fast through life that we are not looking at things that are very, very important to our path. And so, right now I can say for myself, like, there's definitely something I'm supposed to be looking at, slowing down and reevaluating around TikTok, because my whole account has gone wonky. A lot of the witches out there, our accounts are not being promoted or shared in the way that they were. And I know it's not just me. And so I know that, yes, I know where that's coming from. I know why that's happening. But what am I supposed to see here? I need to slow down. I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. I need to connect with other creators who are on the same path as I am, and figure out what it is I'm supposed to do here, because it is everywhere. Every which way I turn, I'm doing something wrong. Now, you may feel that in your job, in your relationships with your friends. This could come up anywhere in your life where Mercury is inviting you to slow down and take another good look at something that you're doing that possibly needs a change in direction, freshening up. And so, I, like everyone else, can get stuck in that, like, oh, I'm so aggravated by this. And yes, like, be angry if it makes you angry. Once you get the anger out, then create a solid plan of, okay, like, sit down. What can I see here that I can do different? What are some things I can change? How can I connect that is different? And you can look at that in any aspect of your life, because I really feel like during this Mercury retrograde, what I got a visual of yesterday, I scrolled past someone that I connect with here who lives in the town I live in, Victoria, and she was posting something about this planet being a prison, but also being a mirror. So it's like, don't focus on so much that you're living in this prison matrix, but focus on that everything you focus on actually mirrors back to you more of it. So, be careful how much you're focusing on the negative, because more negative will be brought back to you. That's why I'm encouraging you, like, get the anger out and frustration, and then sit down and just look at a solid plan. Because once the retrogrades are over, you're going to be mirrored back to you more of what you want. But as I was looking or listening to Victoria talk about that mirror, as soon as she said the words, "We are in a prison, in a matrix," Spirit showed me a bird cage, and the bird cage holding the earth. So it was like the earth inside of the bird cage, and then inside the earth was like a bird. And so I feel like I sat with that. I just like turned off the video and was sitting there, and just like, it was showing me this almost like in like when I've done certain plant medicine journeys, that like a very visceral visual seeing this like earth inside this bird cage. And so what it brought me to next was when I'm at my father-in-law's, I don't know if he does anymore, but he had a few birds in a bird cage, and I'd always feel so bad for them, and like think about how it would feel to be a bird locked in a cage your whole life. And then that brings me, like, when I go to PetSmart, like looking at the guinea pigs, the mice, the animals that we trap in these cages or in these, glass boxes, because we want to have them in our everyday life. And the thing is, people do this, they go get these animals and their kids are excited about it for a week or two, and then they forget about them. They forget to feed them. They don't pay attention to them. And they spend their entire life trapped in this box, right? And they are trapped by us humans. And, we can choose to stop doing this. And my father-in-law would always tell me, oh, if I let those birds out now, they would likely die. Well, I do know one of his birds got out, and, I was sitting outside and I was looking around and I was like, I wonder if that bird's still somewhere out here. Are they really likely to pass because they only have lived in a cage and their wings are clipped, and they can't fly like other birds can fly? And it's like, I think as humans, this is where I'm going with this. When I really sat with that visual of the cage with the earth and the birds inside the cage, is that like we really allow some of these perceptions and some of these visuals. It's like we know we're in a matrix. That's becoming more and more apparent that this is some sort of matrix of form. And and so sometimes I believe like we get so caught up in what that means that it actually stops humanity from living, right? We act as though we are those birds trapped in a cage and we have no say. We have like we aren't truly living to our potential because it's like we throw our hands up in the air and we're like, I'm done with this. And I feel like Mercury retrograde is here to bring us to this realization that we have more power to influence our life than we really perceive we do. Even if there is this bird cage, right, around the earth, and we're the birds inside of the earth, think about all that earth that those birds could explore within that earth, right? That earth is pretty big. It's not that, we aren't the birds in the human's house. We're not the guinea pig in the cage in the human's house. We have the power to change our lives by reprogramming our minds. And that's what I think this particular Mercury retrograde is slowing us down so that we can get a different look at things. Like, I'm not saying bypass what's going on in your life. I'm not saying bypass what's going on in the external world. But it's like, if you're a plant in your house, here's another thing that stopped me. There are these things in my life. I'm kind of different than your average person. Someone I work with recently this week told me, like, she always wondered if I actually even liked her, because sometimes when we're at retreat in the morning and I'm just waking up, or even different times of the retreat, I kind of just stare, and she says it's like I'm looking right through people. And I'm like, wow, like I realize the people around me sometimes don't even know me because I am in another world like half of the time, right? We were at dinner at friend's house last night. This older couple who kind of has adopted me at 50 years old. I mean, they adopted me like 10 years ago, but anyway, we were at their house and they had this Christmas cactus, this big, huge Christmas cactus. And I have a Christmas cactus, and the actual start of that Christmas cactus is from my great grandmother's plant, and it had never bloomed a Christmas cactus flower in the entire 9 years I had had it. And the year my grandma died, that would have been my great grandma's daughter. I came home. It wasn't on the day she died. It was on the day of her funeral. I walked in the door from her funeral, and that Christmas cactus had a flower on it. It had never flowered before that. And then like 2 other flowers popped up the next day. That's the only time that cactus had bloomed to that point. And then it didn't bloom the next year. And for some reason this year, I was talking to someone. Anyway, there was one bloom this year. But I am at my friend's house last night, and she has this Christmas cactus, and it's only a year old, and it's got like 20 flowers on it. And we are coming into December. This is the time it's supposed to bloom. Like mine, when my grandma passed in the funeral, it was in October. So it was blooming early. I was like, what the heck is going on with this plant? So I was looking at hers last night, and it was one of those moments where like everybody's talking in the room and I'm like zoning out with spirit is like showing me something about this plant. Like if the plant isn't living under the right conditions, it's not going to become what it can potentially become, right? If it doesn't have the right nutrients, if it doesn't have the right soil. And that, I was just looking at it and I'm like, I've always placed that Christmas cactus in the east facing sun, it seemed happier there, but it obviously needs something different. And it brought me to this thought process around this Mercury retrograde and Neptune retrograde specifically, that we aren't becoming who we are potentially able to become because of all these programs that are being programmed into us. And that's what makes us feel like we are in this cage, in this matrix, we're stuck. We can only live to the extent that we can live because the leaders, because of the town we live in, because of this, because of that. And it's like your mind is creating the energetic conditions in which you live. And so it is so important during this Mercury retrograde that we are reevaluating these experiences in our life and what we believe is potential. And, you know, there are things that are destined, and it's like knowing all of that, it's like sometimes humanity gets in their own way. Like our brains will get in the way of our intuition so much. I have like a cat hair stuck to my lip. I feel it. Anyway. And so, you know, it's just like I talk a lot about the law of three, and I'm like, so many people, so many witches are getting in their own way by focusing so much on, I am not Wiccan, I don't believe in the law of three. And it's like, okay, you don't have to be Wiccan, you don't have to believe in the law of three. Call it the law of attraction. It's a law of the universe. And so what you put out is going to come back to you. Instead of focusing on fighting everyone on exactly what this is, just like I was saying, like we get so stuck on we're in a matrix, blah, 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 that it disempowers us. It's no different than what the Christians are doing with their Bible. Like they're actually preventing themselves from expanding into what they could potentially become because they took this book and believed it was true and started like regurgitating the information in it so much that these stories that we know were they're created, like the way they're in there were to manipulate, to control the people, that they are almost like they are like locking themselves, chaining themselves up, almost like the devil card in the tarot. Like they're chaining their own hands. Like, and the chains are loose, right? That's the thing about the devil card in the tarot, is that those chains are on there because they're choosing for them to be on there. Because if you look at those chains, they could easily slip off that devil's hands. And witches don't even believe in devil, by the way. So I'm not saying anything about that. I'm talking about the imagery on the tarot card and how humans believe we are trapped, and so we live that trapped reality. We get caught on these even like phrases people say, like every word you say is a spell, and so people get stuck on that every word is a spell, so then they're afraid to say anything negative because they are so stuck on that every word is a spell. And it's like, yeah, your every word can be a spell, but just because you say the word negative today does not mean your whole day is going to be negative. It's the intent and power in the amount you keep repeating these phrases that is actually programming your brain to experience the life that you are experiencing now. And there's so many ways in which we do that, and that social media feeds that. And I hope I'm making sense here, because, you know, we on social media will latch on to something like I was saying, Mercury's in retrograde, and everybody's like, Mercury's in retrograde. And, you know, they're like, all life is just going to be crap now. And it's like, okay, first of all, Mercury isn't even in retrograde, but everybody caught on to that phrase. Mercury is retrograde. It went retrograde. It's just a slowing down. Guess what, humans? It's okay to slow down, to reevaluate, to re-envision what your future could be, and reprogram yourself. You have, can you guys hear my dog snoring? She's laying here snoring so loud. She's like, this is what it means to rest. Do you guys want to see her? Where are you, Ellie? Here. She's curled up there just snoring her life away. Um, and anyway, next year. So the reason this Mercury retrograde is so important, not to just give your power away to it and actually take a good look at what the universe, what the stars are trying to show you through this slowing down, is because next year, so we went from this really grounded, like get low, look at where our foundation is coming from energy, right? So I really look at good look at all the belief systems. So the lunar calendar, the lunar new year, and those energetic archetypes they use tell us a lot about the energetic possibility of the year. And this energy of this year has really brought us to our foundation. If you think of the wood dragon, or not dragon, the wood snake, it's low to the ground, right? It's the energy of wood. We're looking at the foundation and what our house is built of. Like, think of it that way. And we're looking at that this year, so it feels like we're not having a lot of progress this year. We're not, it feels, and people are focusing on that feeling of that we're not progressing, we're not moving forward, right? But what is happening is that I believe we're pulling that arrow back, right now. That is what's happening, right? This is that pull back of that arrow of the archer before the arrow propels forward, right? If you just take the arrow and you don't stretch it back, if you don't anchor your feet into the earth, that arrow is not going to go very far. And this next year, we're moving in from this grounded earth energy of looking at our foundation, and our foundations are rooted in fear. And so I believe all this year, we've been getting a good look at what our biggest fears are and how we actually are manifesting those fears in every aspect of our life if we don't slow down and take a look at it. And we're actually hindering ourselves spiritually because Neptune is actually retrograde right now. So we're looking at how all of those old beliefs are actually hindering us spiritually from living our possible capability. Like, we have so much potential, but because we are not rooted, because we are not trusting our foundation, because we need to pull back before we release that energy. Now in February, when the fire horse takes over the energy, we are going to be propelled forward. What would you like to be propelled forward in? Are you going to be propelled forward in your shadow work? Are you going to be propelled forward in the fact that you are living your life for your kids because you think you are limited in all these ways? Like, all of these things, all of these programs that are being played in your head need to be cleared away so that what's propelled forward with that fire horse. Imagine a horse made of fire just running, right? That is going to be us. And so what are you going to be running with? And it's like, next year, those of us that are standing there like cussing out the year, it's going to be because you didn't slow down and actually move with the rhythm of what the stars, what the planets were speaking to us right now. Where is your focus? Can you not get yourself off that wavelength, off that thread? Because there are so many threads of consciousness on this planet right now that if we could get the majority of us on that same healing frequency of that, really each wanting to live sovereignly, each wanting to live to our future potential, we could change everything. But everybody is so focused on so many different things that actually don't matter. We just need to clear them out of our energy field. Yeah, we need to focus on how things are going to move forward once we hit February. And I am even telling this to myself around what's happening on this social media platform, right? It is crazy. We feel like we have no control, but maybe that's what we're supposed to know, that we have no control here. Maybe we're supposed to be connecting on other platforms. Maybe, I don't know what it is. I haven't got the full message yet, but I'm open to it, and I am slowing down to hear it. I also am slowing down to realize, my path as speaking directly to so many different levels of people, and how to communicate in a good way to all of you. Like someone I seen earlier, it was pinned, I was asking about how I feel about spells during the retrograde. We have spells, we have retrogrades 3 times a year. I say the only time I don't suggest doing spell work, unless you are a highly trained, practiced witch, that you don't do spells during the eclipses. I'm not saying no one should do spells during that time. I'm just saying the average witch in our modern day is not skilled enough to be able to direct and actually harness that energy to utilize for their best good. And so what they're doing during those eclipses when they're doing spells is actually manifesting a lot of things that they actually don't want. And a lot of witches right now are so in ego that they would argue that with me to the ends of the earth. But fine, argue it with me. I do not suggest any beginner witches that are working through my courses do spell work unless during those eclipses, unless it is letting go of something, because you're letting go of shadow, right? When you're trying to manifest, when that energy is so heightened and there's so much shadow present, it would be hard for someone, unless they have done years and years of shadow work, to be able to go toe to toe with that and manifest something different. So I'm not saying never do spell work on eclipses, but I'm saying until you have more years of shadow work under your belt, more years of being a practicing witch, honoring the wheel of the year, just avoid it, unless it's a letting go, a simple burning of writing down, burning, releasing the shadow. Absolutely utilize that energy. And I'm talking specifically full moon eclipses. I do believe the eclipses that are more like like there's different types of eclipses, but that full moon eclipse, it's a really potent time. Yeah, you can manifest some really potent stuff, but are you that witch? Are you that witch? Be honest with yourself. How many years have you been practicing? How long have you been doing shadow work? And these are the questions you can only answer, not me. I've been practicing, since I was 15. I've been out of the broom closet since I was 28. It has been a rare occasion when I do any manifesting work on the full moon. I'm usually releasing myself. Do I know I can manifest on those moons? Yes. But I also believe it is more a time, eclipses, about turning the wheel over to your higher self, to your soul and the goddess, and saying, take the wheel, turn the ship around and get me going where I need to go. And that's where my focus is. Now, retrogrades happen 3 times a year. If you're a regular spellcaster, I'm not going to say I'd say do what you want to do. I mean, are you going to not do spell work 3 times a year when we're in retrograde? Retrogrades are happening all the time. If you believe retrogrades are going to influence your spell work, then don't do it, because what you believe is actually what you're manifesting in your life. And I'm not even just talking about what you're speaking, because as much power as the spoken word has, the unconscious mind has more power. The unconscious mind is like this healing, like opportune, like everything's brewing in the unconscious to manifest something, to attract the things to you that will give you the lesson to resolve the things that are not resolved within your consciousness. And so it's like the energy of our unconscious mind is so powerful. So you can sit here all day and say, I believe, I believe, I believe. And if you really don't believe it, if in your unconscious mind you're doing that spell asking yourself, is this really going to work? Is this really going to work? Is probably what you're going to manifest. It is so important that we are focusing right now on our healing. Like, people are too focused on spell work, because I feel like spell work makes women feel powerful. It makes witches feel powerful. And it's like the spells is the actual folklore of old that we are missing in our modern world. We are missing that folklore. We've gone so far up and out that, like, we're needing to commune with the earth. But it's like, that doesn't make you a witch. Doing spells does not make you a witch. Anybody can pick up a spell book and do a spell. It does not make you a witch. Living your life connected to the earth, connected to the stars, actually living from the truth of who you are. That's what it means to be a witch. So I find that we are so fixated and enthralled by the spells and the people doing the spells that we're focusing so much on the spells, and it's like, it's not the spells. It's not the spells in this day and age. It's the shadow work. The shadow work is the healing work. Because we have so much potential to become what our child self dreamed of. Our child self knew so many things about us. You know, not all witches have a dream of, like, their entire life being the witch. Like, that was always my dream. You can be a witch and be a nurse. You can be a witch and be a greeter at Walmart. You can be a witch and be like somebody who loves the stock market. I don't know, like the witch is how you live your life, and how the way you live your life informs every other aspect of your life. And that's when you realize the spell, yeah, we can do the spells, right? I've got the spell jars up here. I got the spell candles. I got the altar. And everybody's like, I got to buy the things, and where should I get this? And where should I get that? And it's like, first go inward. Go inward and continue to do that healing work, because none of that potential is going to blossom into your life until you undo the past programming that is pumping through your veins, that is in your DNA, because that's what's in your unconscious mind. That's where the energy is so palpable that it's actually pulling more of what you don't want into your life because you refuse to look at it. And that's how this retrograde actually can disempower you, is if you're hooked on to one of those hooks that social media puts out there, that everybody goes crazy on Mercury retrograde and is like, and it's like, this happens 3 times a year, people. It's allowing you to slow down 3 times. It's allowing you to throw down 3 times a year. It's allowing you to slow down 3 times a year. And when you slow down, you're always going to move forward a little faster and a little more directed in a line with who you really are. But when you are continuing to run through the Mercury retrograde and you're not taking the cue to slow down, you're not getting the message. And the message right now is, who do you want to be? And it's so, and how is everything in your life blocking you from that who you want to be becoming? Because there's all these belief systems that are planted in your life as relationships, as jobs, as belief systems, as religions, as like there's so many things. And again, I know not everyone wants to be a witch, right? Not everyone wants to be this or that. Some people, what they may manifest next year will be like some massive transformation in their self-image, where they really realize all the things, like they've been going around looking at everybody outside of them like, I wish I could look like her, I wish I could look like her, but they actually were preventing being able to look like this amazing version of themselves because they always believed that it was just something they could wish and it wasn't something they could achieve. And so once they wiped out that belief system of, oh, this is the body I'm in, this is what I'm destined for, when you believe that you can achieve it, then the universe starts mirroring that reality back to you. What I started back with seeing that video of my friends where she was saying, like, we can know we're trapped in this matrix, but this matrix is also a mirror. So are you going to keep pouting over here like this and being pissed that this is the life you live in? Or are you going to realize you are creating all of it? You are creating all of it. Everything you think, everything you shove down and you're like, I don't want to think about this today, and you push it down, is getting mirrored. Those are the first things mirroring back to you. And, as far as witchcraft goes and spell work, and, I share so much. I just shared a bunch of stuff about Ouija boards, right? And it's like, something as simple as a spirit board, a Ouija board. When people get to fear mongering around something, it's like, it doesn't matter what I tell you. If you are stuck in that program that they're evil, you're going to feel like everything you're manifesting is due to that Ouija board. But what it is due to, what you're feeling when you wake up in the middle of the night, is actually your greatest fears that you shoved down in the unconscious. And so when you went to sleep, that unconscious mind is still vibrating. And I used the Ouija board today, and I know I'm going to have all these demons and monsters come to me in the night. And so you wake up in the night and you're like, first thought in your head is demons and monsters. And so all the energies, because I feel like at night when we're sleeping, there's so much potential for us to create, to receive messages from spirit. And when we have that program in our head of fear, and we haven't cleared it out, as soon as our eyes open from sleep in the middle of the night, instead of allowing the voice of spirit to come in, we are allowing negative energies to come in, and we don't realize we did it. We blame it on the board and throw the board away, and it's not the board. It's not the board. It's your fear manifesting in front of your very eyes. And the universe is working like this all around you all the time. So when people say to me, like, sometimes I wonder if you even like me because you stare right through me. My husband did it the other night. I was walking, he said something about we need to do yoga. And I stopped and looked at him, and I was seeing through what he was saying and hearing something else. But he's like, what the F just happened right there? You just like looked into the depths of my soul and walked away like you hated me. And I'm like, how long have you been with me? Can you not take offense to when I zone out and hear something? Like, that is possible for everyone to experience. But our worry about how we're being perceived by people, and we are being perceived wrong, right? Like, I realized, someone that's helping me at the retreats has been perceiving me wrong for years. And she's like thinking sometimes like, I hate her for a few minutes and then I don't hate her an hour later. It's like, does that even make sense? Like, why are you focusing so much on that? Why does it matter? There's a shadow around validation is why it matters. Everyone wants to be validated, but woohoo Harmony, who lives her life the way that she lives in a different reality than most people. I hear, I see, I sense, I feel different. There's a lot of us out there that are like that. And so my husband's talking to me about yoga, and I'm staring, he knows when I'm staring right through him, and I'm like listening to something else that's like, yeah. And he's like, you're staring into my soul and you hate me. And it's like, I don't hate you. But if I stay stuck on that, right, I'm going to keep manifesting lessons around that. I have to not care. I already realized. I've Mercury pre-retrograde when we were in the, the retrograde is after the retrograde. I'm lacking the word. Before the Mercury retrograde, there's also this shadow that you are experiencing. In that before we went retrograde, was it bringing it into me, like allowing me to see every single person I work with's perception of me. And I had to step back and say, do I care how these people perceive me? Because when I am too worried about how I'm being perceived, whether it be through the interview with CNN, whether it be by the people I work with at my retreats, or even by the people that are coming to my retreats, I'm actually hindering myself from expressing my possible potential abilities. And I know my abilities are bigger than what I show the world. And so I feel like that's the lesson for me. And so the community that's drawn to me, it's like, I am meant to share this with you. Like, how are you worried about how the world around you will perceive you if you shift into a new role, if you allow yourself to shine? If people don't support you when you shine at something different, when you shine at something that truly lights your heart on fire, then those aren't your people. So we need to quit worrying about what everyone thinks about us, even our family members. And we need to create the healthy boundaries for ourselves. We need to care more about ourselves than we care about everyone else. Because it's not actually that we care about everyone else. It's actually that we care about what they think about us. So often people will give service to other people because they're worried about not being perceived like they give enough, especially women. Like, we're supposed to give until our heart bleeds. And it's like, give to yourself until your heart bleeds, because then you'll know when you are meant to serve someone, because that message will keep coming in and keep coming in until you act on it. And then when you act on it, that's when you'll realize, I was supposed to serve in this capacity, because I really knew that's what my heart wanted. And I wasn't just serving or bringing this person dinner or reaching out to this person because I needed validation from them to know I'm okay. Like, Harmony, tell me when you're looking through me that you don't hate me, is what my husband was wanting me to say. And I'm like, I don't hate you, sweetheart. You know me. But in that moment, he needed a little validation from me, right? And our inner child needs that sometimes, but it's actually not from the person in front of us that we need that validation from. We need that validation from ourselves. We need to be able to tell little Harmony or little Marjorie or, little Pisces Moonflower, spiritual Pisces, like, I got you. Like, you're so beautiful. You're so perfect. Your dreams are valid. That's what our inner child needs to be able to blossom in this magical way. Maybe next year is gonna just be this year that you get to take magical trips and explore the world and feel alive in a way you've never felt alive. Maybe that's what next year is. But if you have all these blocks in the way, you're never gonna experience that pure potential that exists for travel. Or if you're looking at somebody else's soul path and you're like, I'm a witch, maybe I'm supposed to go live like Harmony, or I'm a witch, maybe I'm supposed to make wands like Stella. Maybe, there's all these things that we look at other people and think, is that our path? And is that the way we need to go? And it's blocking us from our pure potential. Our pure potential is held by that child within us. And until we learn to go there and validate our own inner child, the magic, the potential of our magic will never blossom. You can sit there and do all the spell jars you want, and it's not going to happen. That's why the shadow work is important, because the shadow work is going back and seeing how all those childhood wounds created patterns that have shown up in our lives again and again, because we pushed that inner child down into the recesses of our mind, and all she started doing was mirroring everything back to you that scared her. Was she scared of her mom? Then she created manifestations of her husbands, of her mom. All her best friends were her mom. That I have someone in my family I consider an aunt. And I know she had a very rocky relationship with her mother, and I can see her relationship with my mother as the manifestation of her mother. But that inner child in her has never been validated enough, and so she allows my mom to treat her like crap over and over again, because her inner child wants that attention from her mother so bad that she will manifest someone that was like her mother, that treats her like her mother, just to feel something with her mother. And it's like, we've got to be brave enough to go back to the childhood wounds. We've got to be brave enough to go there, because it hurts. Just like, you fall down and you break your leg, and then they have to go into surgery and re-break it, and it hurts worse when you re-break it and go back in. That's why we fear it. And so we start learning this pattern of dealing with things when they happen, by going backwards and looking at what happened to our child self and seeing how it's mirrored in every relationship of our life. And then we start healing and transforming those relationships. We create boundaries with people that never should have been in our life in the first place. We love our inner child so much that when we feel that inner child needing validation, we love ourselves. We validate ourselves. We say, you are worthy. I believe you. I trust you. And then that inner child in you starts showing you your potential, what they always wanted to be. And you can't worry about what everyone else thinks about that. Because, probably 15 years ago, if I told someone my inner child wants nothing more to be known as the witch in her community, she wants to be the witch this witch that she sees in these stories, it would be like, Harmony, how are you going to be a witch in your, like, how would that happen? And it completely unfolded in this bizarre way online that, I probably wouldn't even have known was going to exist 15 years ago, right? So we don't have to know how it's going to happen. All we have to do is be in touch with that little part of ourselves, that little child within us, and start validating their every experience, their every emotion. And then when things happen in our life that bring us to our knees as adults, we know, thank you for the gifts, you guys. We know that we are going to hurt worse if we push it down, if we mask it. If we mask it, it's going to be like going in for surgery and re-breaking your leg and healing all over again. So it's going to hurt worse than the initial wound. And so it's like, once we've started that path of shadow work, there is no other way than to feel it when it happens. One of my dogs passed earlier this year, and my husband and I stayed home for 2 days, and it was like heavy. It was hard. But I feel like I grieved that healthier than I have grieved anything, because I just stayed home and let myself cry. I went in the woods and walked and cried. I allowed myself to have that time to cry rather than just going to work after it happens. Like 5 years ago, I lost my beagle. I literally came home from losing the beagle. I literally fell on the floor, laid there and cried for 5 minutes, like got up, wiped my face off, and went to work and kept going. And do you know that it like took me longer to heal that, to get to that place of love, because I didn't give myself time in that moment to grieve that, to just hate everything and to be sad that my baby was gone, right? And this time I allowed myself, it didn't matter that my witch page was about witch stuff and that I never go off topic. That day, I put pictures and video, I didn't care how many views it had, of my heart dog, because I knew if I didn't let myself look at those pictures with those songs and cry and grieve it, that it was going to continue to slowly unalive me over the next years to come, the way that happened with my beagle, the way that happened with my cat Violet. And this is what I'm telling you about shadow work, is that the more you do it, the more you start living today, experiencing what you need to experience. So you start having less of the shadows show up in every step you take. And you start experiencing more life, more joy, more happiness. And so that's why the retrogrades slow us down, because they're slowing us down and giving us time if we take it, right? But a lot of us don't take it because we just keep going because we're scared, right? Someone asked me a question and it went by so quick. Yeah, sometimes the stuff moves so quick. Somebody was asking something about Salem, and now I can't find it or see it. But the Salem retreat is actually sold out for next year. We already have that circle sealed. The Practical Magic retreat is actually released. Kind of stumbling over my words a little bit. So if you guys want to go to Practical Magic, there's still spots in that available. Oh, it was a snarky comment. Thank you, Marjorie, for being on top of the comments section today. You guys heart the live if you want me to cast a circle today, because I usually start casting a circle at 11:30 if we're up to 100K hearts. And so heart up the live when we hit 100K. If you want, I will cast that energetic circle. And as most of you know, the energetic circle I cast, if you say yes, thank you, I accept, I receive, I claim this, whatever it is you want to say to claim that that circle is for you, the circle I'm casting allows a circle to be cast around you that stays cast and you in the higher planes of consciousness until you go to sleep tonight. And when you go to sleep tonight, the circle's open but never broken. And what that means is that you will integrate all of the wisdom that came pouring in while you were in this protected circle today. So if you're wondering what Mercury Retrograde is trying to communicate to you, what your ancestors, your spirit guides have been trying to communicate to you, then stay and do this circle so that you can move yourself into that place where you don't care what anybody else thinks and you're willing to feel, sense, see, and hear what Spirit is trying to tell you. How do you let go? You release your grip. You stop holding on to these thoughts. You start challenging the thoughts. You start challenging the belief systems. You start having conversations with yourself. You got to think about like claws into something. How do you let go? That's the same thing with thought processes. When your thought processes are like claws into your mind, you've slowly got to like release those fingers from holding and then look at what you've been holding. And then you slowly start to let it go by moving your hands away. And that moving of your hands away is the challenging the belief system. Oh, that was just a thought. I actually am beautiful. I didn't know I was beautiful because this person called me chicken butt or freckle face when I was 8 or 10. And I just started calling myself chicken butt. I actually am not a chicken butt. I know that sounds funny, but in 8th grade, I got a horrible haircut and everyone called me chicken butt. Um, you know, everyone looks at me and who I've become now, and it's like, this isn't the girl I've always been. There's always been this like energy around my life of the phoenix rising from the ashes. And so I've hit rock bottom several times in my life to become who I am. And, those junior high years were rough on me. I got this haircut that was an A line. I have really naturally curly hair. And so when they cut the back off really, really short, it looked like a chicken butt, and I was called chicken butt. And so, you know, there were several names that got stuck in my head that I called myself. And that, I'm just using that as an example, but religion can be held in your mind like that. The beliefs around religion, I talk a lot about religion because when I left the religion I was raised in, they like actually wrote me letters saying my kids wouldn't be safe. And so it was like I had to not only unravel like that I was letting go of those belief systems that I never believed in the first place, but were programmed in my head, and they ran like a friggin' DVD player on repeat again and again, a song on repeat again and again. And I had to stop the song on repeat. How I had to let that go was every time I heard that thought that was like, your kids aren't safe, I had to tell myself, you are safe. They are safe. You are safe. That's just something someone told you. I don't believe that. There were several ways that I replied to that voice in my head, but it's acknowledging the first part of letting go is acknowledging that belief system was never yours to begin with. It was a program. It was a seed planted in your mind by the person that put it there. So who was the one that told you that story? You believed it, and then it became your life. And, most people will then go through a phase where all they want to do is blame the person that planted the seed. And even blaming the person that planted the seed is not going to get you where you're going. So it's like acknowledging this is the voice in my head. I get it. You're not allowed to be in my head anymore, but I also am not going to allow you to take up space in my head by allowing your voice to continue here by me blaming you and being angry at you. Yes, you've got to be angry at it, angry that it happened. Forgive the entire situation, and then realize, oh, I can pluck that up out of the ground like a weed from the roots and throw it away because it is my choice. And you do that by talking to yourself. You have to realize how much you are talking to yourself in your mind on any given day, because the more you talk to yourself in a good voice, in a nurturing and kind way, the better life is going to get for you. The more you allow the voice of the inner critic and the people that planted seeds in your head that were not yours to begin with, like that wasn't your flower to grow, it was their insecurity. I think I had a lot of that in my life where people could see the potential in me, and so they'd plant seeds in my consciousness that I was fat, that what I said was not valid, that I wasn't smart, and I took all those things and became them. But I think people did that because they could see my potential, and they didn't want me to live that potential because they thought that meant they couldn't live their potential, right? And that's how kids work, because they see their parents do that. And so it's like, if we teach our kids, we each have these unique gifts, and the more we're all shining at our gifts, the more everyone shines. It's not like, the witch wound is so that wound that just because this person is shining, you won't shine. Like, everyone should have a Mercury. Just because someone else online is getting a lot of attention, it doesn't mean that you are any less worthy or you're not going to get attention. Actually, the more you support and cheer on your sisters and your people out there that are trying to do good things, the more good things are going to come to you. And that's why I always am getting stuck on that. Like, stop worrying, which is about that whole law of three thing and you not vibing with it, because it doesn't matter what you call it, it's real. And you don't have to be so analytical of it, like, everything you put out there is coming back to you. It's not, if you put a drop of baneful herb inside a jar, it's not like the baneful stuff is going to come back to you. It's the intent in your heart. And it's coming back to you. The intent is coming back to you. I could drop black feathers anywhere I want to drop them. If my intent is to be a jerk, then that will come back to me. If my intent is to protect, protection will come back to me. So the energy we put out there is constantly coming back to us. We're only at 94K likes and it's 11:25. You guys, I have to go at 12 today, so please come back to Jesus. I have no desire for Jesus. Honestly, I don't know I do know what makes Christians want to tell people that, because they think their salvation is wrapped up in how many people they get to turn to Jesus. But it's like, you need to realize there was something before Adam and Eve. Before the Bible, there was life on this earth. And the Bible was not the beginning of all. You need to realize your religion, Christians, is just a freaking religion. And not everybody believes in the same religion. Some of us don't want a church, don't want a religion, and stop casting spells on us by saying, go back to Jesus. Do you realize, once again, you're pointing the finger at the witches saying we're casting spells on people, and it is you Christians coming in my comment feed who is casting the spells. You're just calling it the work of the Lord, and because there's more of you than me, you think that you are right. I am so done with the Christians in my comment feed. And also, when I lash back at them saying, oh, this shows your true character. My true character? Because I said you're a programmed zombie? We are full of an earth of programmed Christian zombies. It is true. You walk around programmed. You're not even living your life. You're so worried about casting your spells on us, witches, through your words, even though you're not calling it spells. It's like the pot calling the kettle black here. Like, you are casting your wishes upon us all day long. Witches are not worried about what you're doing, Christians. Quit worrying about what we are doing. Please. Like, why can you not see? Like, fine, if you want to be Christian, be Christian. Quit thinking that you have this responsibility to change everyone else into Christian. Witches don't feel any responsibility for turning other people into witches. Witches are worried about their own sovereign identity, about living their life, their potential, their truth to the best of their ability. So, like, yeah, do I know who Jesus is? 100% I know who Jesus is. I know who Mary Magdalene is and Mother Mary, and they're all witches. So quit telling me to go find them. I'm not the one who needs to find them. You people who think he's your savior, he's like, I don't want to save you. That's part of the triangle of disempowerment. Jesus, Yeshua, does not want to be a part of your codependent narrative. He doesn't. But you keep making him that. He's rolling over in his grave 100 times over. Every single minute, every single person is calling them and identifying him as their savior. He doesn't want to save you. He wants you to save yourself. Everything Jesus did is everything that they accused women of and some men for being witches of doing. Do you realize this? Amen. I will never. Do you even realize, like, the word Christ means the anointed one, right? This is what Christians don't think of. Like, we are all, I'm Harmony the Christ. Marjorie is Marjorie the Christ. Because I do believe the anointed one, what anointing does, why we anoint, is acknowledging the divinity within something. So by saying Jesus is the only Christ, it means divinity only exists within Christ. So witches are busy not having a savior and living their own anointed life because we realize Jesus isn't the only Christ out there. He's not the only anointed one. We are anointed too. Anointed again means acknowledging. They take that oil and place it on your third eye, place it on your crown, place it on your heart, wherever they're placing it, to acknowledge the divinity within these areas. And so they are calling Jesus the Christ, saying he is God. And, you know, the Christians get really offended when you say that Jesus is not your savior. And it's like, why do I need a savior? Because the Christian church needs you to need a savior for them to remain in control. They don't have control over people who have control over their own life. Yeah, amen to that. If you're Christian, don't come to this live. But they feel they have to come to the live because at church their minister told them. Yeah, they killed a lot. Sorry, I'm not supposed to say that word. They unalived so many of their own people. I don't believe that it was witches that were unalived. Like, I'm sure there was a couple, but most of them were just women. They were just women. I don't even believe, there is nothing to suggest that they were even powerful women, that they were even all smart women. Were there smart women who are unalived? Yes. Were there, you know, intelligent women that were unalived? Yes. Was there healers that were unalived? Yes. But historically, it didn't matter if you were smart, if you were dumb, if you were an herbalist, or if you weren't. It was an attack on women. The men that were unalived supported the women. It's even harmful, the narratives that we are repeating, that it was women that were intelligent. It was women that were smart. So if you're a woman that doesn't feel intelligent or smart, does that mean they wouldn't have killed you? No. Sorry, I keep saying that damn word, and I know I'm going to get a freaking warning if I don't stop. Unalive you? They would unalive you just for your gender, because your gender, before the days of Christianity, that what they don't tell the Christians is there was life before Adam and Eve that was matrilinear. It was matriarchal before Adam and Eve. Before patriarchy, there was matriarchy. But all the Christians don't realize it because they think time started with Adam and Eve. Life did not start with Adam and Eve. There was a time, we have proof in the earth, in Egypt, in Mesopotamia, in all these different areas, that there was a, am I saying that word right? Matrilineal? Am I saying that right? Because it is slightly different than matriarchal, but it was matriarchal. So it's like we're going around not realizing that so many Christians do not realize that for the Christian church to be what it is, Yes, there's proof in the earth. People won't look the history up. I've been talking a lot about on my lives about the book When God Was a Woman. Like, she lists the different, or he, I should say he, Merlin Stone, lists the actual where all of these proof that there was life before biblical times, where they found it, how they look at it, break it down, and are analytically looking at the history of humankind. So it's like, yeah, you can be like, that's just a book Merlin Stone wrote. But Merlin Stone tried to lay it out in a way that is way more scholarly than I could ever lay it out. But it is proof that everything that is Christian, like, that's why I'm always like, if you want to be Christian, that's fine. But please understand that not all of us want to follow a religion that historically is only here because they wanted to control and oppress the people. That religion became what it is because of the pandemic of the burning times. It's because the burning times, the oppression of women, the witch trials became a pandemic across our planet. It goes to show how a thread of consciousness, even when there's no computers and no planes and trains, and it's just by boat that you can get to other places and other lands, that thread of consciousness exists between humanity no matter what. And why we have to feed the thread that we want to see more of. And we're over 100K, and who wants me to cast a circle? Yeah, all the holidays are rooted in pagan celebrations. And a lot of even what pagans believe, it's our world is just so mixed up, it's kind of hard to sit back and see that there's so many intelligent people out there, that so many smart people that can create so much with AI, and then they're Christian, and it's like, how can you be so smart and so dumb at the same time? And my husband always says when I say that, don't call people dumb, and I'm like, I mean, I guess it's like, some people say street smarts, like you can have all the book smarts you want and school smarts, but if you're not street smart, yeah, you're not going to get far in life. All right, everyone, we're going to cast a circle. And if you are open to receive, yes, say, I am open to receive. Yes. Thank you. I accept. I claim. Whatever it is you want to say. Yeah, they're ignorant. We cast this circle to open us up to the 7th and 8th plane consciousness of wisdom that will last until you lie your head down to sleep when the circle is open. And then the wisdom that came in today, even if it was things that you didn't fully realize, will be realized during this week. I cast these circles through a meditative state, so you want to be somewhere where you can lie down or sit up, where you're straight in a line from your sit bones all the way to the crown of your head. So if that's lying down, you don't want to be curled up. If that's sitting up, you don't want to be hunched over. You're open to receive. So you're opening these channels that through this state, that everything will align so that the wisdom can flow through you, because it already exists within you. The circle is just creating a magical space where you are open to receive it. So I invite you, I actually do this for myself every morning when I'm laying in bed before I open my eyes, or last thing at night before I go to sleep. I call my circle in because I feel like it's the best way you can protect yourself. I invite you, when I say bless us as we call your name, to solidify this circle in your space, and also to keep you awake, is to say that deity's name with me 3 times. So meaning say it out loud. The rest of the time you are open to receive, and you're bringing yourself back to that natural rhythm and flow of your breath, and listening to the sound and the fluctuation of tones in my voice to bring you into a space of center. So we are going to start that right now. So if you are open to receive, type that in the chat. If you want to just watch, you can just sit back and watch and witness. So right now you're going to close your eyes, uncross your legs, uncross your hands. Make sure your hands are in this open position, upright to receive. And you're going to take a nice big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then I just invite you to take several deep breaths, just like that. Deep in through the nose, sealing the lips. And then a long exhale out the mouth. Several breaths like this, just pulling in and letting go. One more time. Feeling yourself surrendering to the earth beneath you, allowing your body to become one with the earth. And allowing your breath to move in and out naturally. Maybe you're really focusing on the sound or the feeling of the breath entering and exiting your body. As your body becomes one with the earth, you more fully connect with your spirit inside your body. So noticing all the empty spaces within your physical body. Maybe there's just a few nooks and crannies, and maybe you're noticing that everything down to the tips of your toes and fingertips and elbows are stuffed full of energy. Maybe you can't feel the emptiness within your body. So if you can't feel the emptiness, then go ahead and take another deep breath in through the nose. Pull all the way into the top and hold here. As you hold, soften every part of your body. Continue holding and notice the feeling of being full. And now exhale out your mouth. And as you exhale, press your abdominal muscles, push them, tighten them to expel every last breath. And then sit there before you breathe in. Just sit there with nothing filling your body. And notice how your body, your physical body, feels like it's energy. And then breathe in again. And breathe out. And begin to let the breath move in and out. And within your mind's eye, you find yourself in the center of your heart space. Who you are is right there at the center of your heart. You're sitting there with your legs crossed and your hands open and your spine is tall. And within this place of center, I call forth concentric circles of light to surround all who are partaking in the circle casting today, across mountains and deserts, cities and oceans, across countries, to the other side of the world. Everyone who has said, yes, thank you, I accept, I claim this, I receive this, is finding themselves at heart center, sitting there with their legs crossed, with circles of light pulsating around them, noticing colors of light that are pulsating around you now. And as you do, I want you to bring your awareness to the column of light that is moving through the center of your body up and down. There's this column of light beneath you, connected to the earth, moving in through your root chakra and pulsating color all the way up through the center of your body, through the crown of your head, all the way up to the planets, to the stars. Notice this pulsating light. Notice the color without questioning it, and notice the circles of light surrounding you now. As I call forth the guardians of the watchtowers of the north, south, east, and west. Guardian of the north, keeper of earth, I invoke the spirits and the elements of earth to surround us now. Keeper of the keys, she who meets us at the crossroads, torches of light, guiding us, illuminating the several different paths ahead that we could take in this free will, free, sovereign journey of our lives. There's keys at this path, at this crossroads. There's torches of light, and there's you at the center. Breathe in the pathways that lie ahead of you now. Breathe out. As you notice this deity in black cloaks of darkness, illuminated by a torch in her face. The light of her power illuminating and mirroring back to you your power. Standing with you, illuminating the shadows around you. Allow her to show you one thing that is blocking you. Allow her to light up one path before you. Bless us as we call your name, Mother of Witches, Hecate, 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 Hecate. Guardian of the northeast, keeper of the rising sun and the sacred wells. She who is placed gently in robes of gold with her spiraling red hair at the side of the creek that is just beginning to freeze over, with one light of candle illuminating her golden dress, and her red-eared tipped cow sitting with her. She who is keeper of the rising sun, she who is keeper of hope. Bless us as we call your name, Bridget, Bridget, Bridget. Guardian of the east, keeper of air, keeper of the element of air, I invoke and call forth the spirits and the element of air to join us now. She of 10,000 spells, she of 10,000 names, she who mirrors the creator, divine creatrix, the source of our feminine energy within all, her shape-shifting, name-shifting energy arriving here, awakening the soul within you, as if awakening angelic wings that are spreading from behind you, reminding you of all the lives that you have lived. The role you play in each movie of your life will be different, but your soul's journey, your soul's mission remains the same. Bless us as we call your name, Isis, Isis, Isis. Guardian of the southeast, keeper of sovereignty, we call you forth with the songs of the Divine Mother Goddess ringing through the sounds of our ears, the songs that wake us in the morning, the songs that play in our heads on repeat. You are awakening the message within those sacred songs that perk us up, that remind us of our mission. And you are allowing the throat chakras of all who are in this circle now to awaken with the song that calls them forward. The song of the Divine Mother. Song of the one that has always nurtured and held and cared for us no matter what path we have taken. song of the birds that fly free outside of cages, the horses that run wild and free in the fields, and the fire that burns the trail ahead of them. Bless us as we call your name, Rhiannon, Rhiannon, Rhiannon. Guardian of the South, keeper of fire, I invoke the element and the spirit of fire. Queen of the Fae, she who knows love is the way. Invoking all aspects of love through the power of my voice permeating through the ear chakras of each who are taking in this sacred circle today. All aspects of love are welcome here. All emotional wisdom is welcome here. Through the soft, sacred kiss of this goddess's lips, she guides us to the sacred waters where the fire has burned us to ashes, reminding us that through the opposites of the elements, we find wisdom, we find balance, we find love. Bless us as we call your name, Anya, Anya, Anya. Guardian of the Southwest, keeper of mystery, she who has woven her secrets throughout the unconscious and through the dark moons and through the hearts of the feminine, just as the witch has done, being misunderstood, being portrayed for not who she was. We invite your presence here to awaken the mystery within each of us. And through your power, you awaken each sovereign individual in this circle to the mystery. You awaken them to what has always been a mystery, but now is their path, their potential, their light, their truest form. As we call your name, bless us. Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene. Guardian of the West, keeper of the sacred waters, I invoke and call forth the element and the spirits of water, keeper of the cauldron, keeper of darkness, keeper of alchemy, keeper of the magician, the witches, wisdom, brewing, continuing to brew within the hora and the womb space of humanity, awakening the hearts of the feminine energy of water, the potential for water to heal, the potential for water to alchemize into many different forms. Bless us as we call your name. Caradwin, Caradwin, Caradwin. Guardian of the Northwest, Queen of Witches, Weaver of our sacred circle, we call you forth. Invoke your power to be ours, to rise for the oppressed, to care more about humanity and how humanity is moving forward than anything else other than us, allowing our sacred and sovereign humanity on this planet and mission on this planet to rise forward. And as that rises forward, we stand up for all oppressed communities, as your wisdom has helped us always do, as you weave this sacred circle throughout humanity. Bless us as we call your name, Aradia, Aradia, Aradia. From beneath us, we call forth our loving Earth Mother to rise up, re-anchoring that central column of light moving through our center body, anchoring in to the earth beneath us as we call forth the loving Earth Mother, giving gratitude for all that she offers us through a never-ending mirror of lessons and nutrients and unending, unconditional divine love. We call forth the ancestors who walked these earth planes wherever we find ourselves before us. We call forth the ancestors from our bloodlines that walk with us in a good way. Call forth the Fae, the elementals, and the gnomes as caretakers and guardians of this sacred earth. And moving up, up, up to the star brothers and sisters, connecting to the central column of light that is rooted in the earth and connected to the stars above us and the planetary alignments that influence us. We ask and we honor the fact that you are watching over us, pouring your wisdom down through the darkness, through the light in the darkness upon us. Bringing our hands to heart center, the left hand on your heart with your right hand over it, as we call forth the presence of our higher self, the presence of our spirit guides, and we call forth each sovereign individual who's partaking in the circle's I am presence. And we find ourselves here again where we were at the beginning, sitting in the center of this sacred circle with a column of light rooted from above and below and all around us. And within this space, we lift this circle up, up, up to the 7th and 8th plane of consciousness, where divine knowing and miracles take place, and we open the central column of light to pour the wisdom down in us from above and to flow in from below us, creating the solid foundation of safety for this wisdom to flow through us, clearing the way for where we will move forward. We ask that the sacred circle that we have cast around us today will remain open, but never broken after we lay our head down to sleep tonight. But as we move through our day today, before our head lies down to rest, this sealed circle will pour wisdom into our bodies, hearts, and minds. And as we allow this wisdom to pour in, when the circle opens, this wisdom will be integrated within the energetics of every aspect of your life, moving forward through the rest of this year and into the next year. This circle is now sealed. As above, so below. As within, so without. It is done. It is done. It is done. And so it is, blessed be. I invite each of you to take a deep inhale in and a long, slow exhale out. Deep inhale in, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Long exhale out. Next time you breathe in, scrunch your feet, curl up your toes, tighten your legs, tighten your sit bones, tighten everything in your body. Tighten your mouth, your face, scrunch it all up. Take the deepest inhale as every part of your body scrunches up. And as you exhale out loud, release all the tension. Blink your eyes open, come back into this space, into this room. Allowing yourself to be here now. And process everything that came through. If you would like to type anything in the chat before we go, I love to hear the colors of light, anything that came through. But more often than not, you're going to be receiving a lot of information today and throughout the next week. Blessed be. Anybody see? Yep, there we go. Colors, purple. Share, thank you for sharing. Another purple. Thank you, Betty Jo. I didn't even know you were here. There is Kitty. Kitty. I don't know if you know, the whole time I was casting the circle, he was like at my legs, like putting his little claws up, and he was like, meow, meow. Red and gold. Here comes Kitty. Orange and white. You heard him, Jen. I also saw purple today. Lots of purple. Lots of third eye opening. Beautiful. And yellow. Love that. I would call that gold. Golden light. Blue and white light. Yellow and orange. I saw a bit of icy green. Love it. Pink. Another pink. You can hear him purring. He is my baby for sure. He like curls up to my head. He needs a lot of attention. If he doesn't get it, he like will get ornery and pee on things. So when people say like, our orange cat's ornery, he's actually the biggest sweetheart I have, but if I'm not paying enough attention, he does get ornery. You seen green, I love it. Green is your heart chakra, yes. Everybody always thinks pink is the heart, and pink can be the heart, but also green. Also aquamarine is the heart. All your hair, Kitty. Well, thank you for being here with me, you guys. Thank you if you were on at the beginning and we hopped off and came back. Golden blue light. Oh, I love the visual of that. The circle is so healing. You are very welcome, Kelly. Thank you for being here, beautiful sister. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And if you were here at the beginning and realize a lot of us witches are going through the same thing, thank you, Marjorie. Thank you, Eclectic Goddess. As far as, especially, you know, us creators that depend on our, you know, online offerings and work in the world to go by the algorithm, we appreciate you taking some time to go watch our videos, rewatch them, like them, comment on them, let the algorithm know, the AI know that we love the witches and we support each other. And I think, you know, one thought that came to me about all the witches videos being suppressed in the algorithm, my thought was, maybe this is actually ultimately to bring us together. I seen something Uncle Birch posted, and he was like, we're going to be group 13 or something. I don't even know what it means, but I was like, group 13 is great. But he was saying, let's come together and support each other. And I was thinking, like, maybe that's part of why this is all happening, is because there's so much toxicity in witch talk that we really need to learn as witches. Like, part of our medicine for the world is connection, is teaching unity. And we're getting so mixed up in the drama and the chaos, and we're forgetting that we're coming from an age of patriarchy where it's like, this is the law and this is the only right way, that the only way to make us come together is to have us have to support each other. And so find your fellow witches. Everybody you were seeing in the live today and chatting with, go watch their videos. Comment on their videos, become connected with people. And remember, we don't all have to live our life exactly the same, or do our spells exactly the same, or believe exactly the same to be able to support one another, because we are so much more powerful together than we are divided. So start coming together with your witches that you love and the creators that you love, and realize the more that you support them, the more your light is going to shine, because that is what's going to start mirroring back to you. When you support those around you, that support is in every aspect of your life. Stop worrying about it being called the law of three, and realize the law of attraction is a real thing. So I hope you all have a beautiful Sunday. Get out there and support all your witches, everybody that was in the comments, you know, Marjorie, Betty Jo, Spiritual Pisces, Kelly. There's a lot of witches out there that you can go and make their day by liking their videos and commenting and creating connection with each other. Have a beautiful day, Jen. Marjorie, will you answer the person about, I'm not allowed to say certain things, so Marjorie is going to tell you some information in the chat before I go about where you can find my offerings, because I don't want to get another mark against me. So I'm going to let her tell you all what you can and where you can find things. Don't forget to check out those things back there that got me kicked off in the first place. But you want to say goodbye to everyone, kitty? Am I getting kisses? Can you say meow? Can you say meow? You want to talk to everyone? Meow. Meow. No? You're not going to talk? Usually he's very talkative. Thank you, Marjorie. Everybody see that? If you want to find me, that's where you can find me. Blessed be. Have a beautiful Sunday. Thank you, Marjorie, for being a moderator, and anyone else who was in the comments moderating for me. I might come back in the middle of the week if all of you nice people come back in the middle of the week. I'll probably come back in the middle of the week anyway. But I'm sending love and blessings, and I'll see you soon. Blessed be, witches.